Let me just say this on behalf of myself, and I think Senator Blumenthal, who's a veteran, and so many in the United States Senate. But the veteran's veteran in the United States Senate is John McCAIN. We're honored to have him here today, and Senator McCAIN, the floor is yours.
I thank you, sir, and I thank my friend from Minnesota and the great job and effort she's making. And by the way, on the suicide issue, I agree with the senator from California, but I also would point out we did pass unanimously the Clay Hunt Suicide Prevention Act, which I think addressed many of the concerns. I'll be glad to have additional legislation, but I think that it's only about a year and a half old. We might give that act a chance to see if it's going to work or not. But all of us, including the senator from California, are very concerned about this terrible issue of veteran suicides. I want to thank all my colleagues about the legislation that called the Care Veterans Deserve Act. The bill would make the Veterans Choice Card easier for our veterans. Today, the only veterans who are eligible, as the committee knows, are those who are waiting more than 30 days or live more than 40 miles from a VA healthcare facility. The bill would make the choice card universally available to all disabled or eligible veterans, no matter where they live or how long they're waiting for care, so they can get the flexible quality they want and need. Legislation provide greater certainty to our veteran and doctors currently enrolled in the Veterans Choice Card program. Many people are not aware that if Congress doesn't act soon, the Veterans Choice Card program will expire next summer. Some doctors are refusing to serve veterans under the choice card until they're certain it will be extended for the long term. The bill provides both veterans and doctors the certainty they need by making this vital program permanent. Mr. Chairman, we've been working in the Senate on a 3-year extension of the card under existing rules for eligibility. I'll continue to work with you and the committee to pass that extension. I strongly believe the best way to improve veterans' health care is to enable all eligible veterans to access the choice card. The bill that we have put forward includes a number of other provisions. For example, allow veterans who develop a cold or the flu to visit walk-in clinics without pre-authorization from the VA. Today, veterans with non-urgent medical conditions must call the VA for an appointment, which could take weeks to schedule, and if veterans complain about the wait, the VA tells them to go to an overcrowded emergency room. Senator Flake and I have heard testimony from a number of veterans who have sat in the ER for up to 14 hours without being seen. Veterans told us that for minor illnesses, they just wanted a way to see a healthcare provider on the same day, and this legislation would do that. This legislation would require VA clinics and pharmacies to extend their operating hours to nights and weekends in order to provide comparable pharmacy services offered by retail pharmacies. Currently, only a small number of VA facilities offer evening or weekend options for veterans, which makes it difficult for working veterans who often can't take the entire workday off in order to see a doctor and obtain a prescription. We know the VA has a long way to go to eliminate the never-ending wait times. The Congress provided the VA an extra $5 billion in emergency funding to hire doctors, nurses, and medical support staff. The VA needs to use this money to hire or contract for doctors to eliminate the wait times that are still as high, or in some cases higher, than they were during the scandal. Critically, this legislation would allow the healthcare professionals licensed, registered, or certified in one state to use telemedicine to provide treatment to veterans in other states. It would encourage VA health care system to undergo a best practices peer review. I want to just emphasize, if I could, that, Mr. Chairman, why don't we get people like the Cleveland Clinic or Mayo or others to go in and look at these VA facilities and see how they're doing business and say, here's how you can improve. We have some outstanding examples all over the country of healthcare providers that really know their business. So why not have a peer review and send them in? It would be very inexpensive. In fact, I know that the Mayo would do it for free because of their dedication for veterans. Go and see how they're doing business. Show them how they can improve. I think that's pretty obvious. I just want to point out so far that 1.4 million appointments for veterans who would otherwise wait for delayed care because of the Choice Program, over 2.5 million separate payments to doctors and hospitals to date, over 450,000 Choice healthcare providers across the nation for veterans to choose from, and the Choice Card triples the number of healthcare providers that can care for our nation's veterans. 170,000 medical appointments for veterans under Choice made last month alone, more than 7,500 per workday. So, Mr. Chairman, I want to thank the members of this committee on both sides for their bipartisan effort on behalf of our veterans. Senator Blumenthal and you, I think, represent the best of us in the United States Senate and working together. And I think that and all members, and that I think has led to favorable outcomes for our veterans. So I want to thank you for that, and I want to thank you for the work you've done so far.
Senator McCain, I just want to add that in August of 2014, you led the conference committee that created the Veterans Choice Program. In the 2 years since it's been implemented, it's been a force multiplier for physicians being able to be available for our veterans. It's begun to deliver on the promise that you led us to, which came out of the terrible tragedy that started in your state in terms of wait times. So your leadership is appreciated. What you've done is appreciated, and we will give it thorough